Hi, Anasuya.
Hi, Doro.
Anasuya, I recently heard a really interesting fact, which is that cows don't die of skin cancer. They do get skin cancer, but it doesn't seem to metastasize, and so it doesn't kill them. Can you tell us a bit more about this?
Yes, so that is the case for skin cancer, that is melanoma, in hoofed animals, that is cows, horses, and sheep. They have a high rate of skin cancer, but unlike humans, they rarely die from it. It is a chronic disease for them rather than an acute malignant one, as in the case of humans. If we regard a tumor as a parasite that kind of grows and thrives and develops inside the body, taking nutrition from its surrounding environment, an analogous scenario can be seen in the case of a fetus who would derive nutrition, blood, oxygen, nutrients from the placenta. So essentially, humans, as against cows, have a deeply invasive placentation, wherein the embryo kind of erodes or burrows in the uterine wall in order to establish or implant itself. So in the case of cows, we have these two intriguing parallels that on the one hand, you have lack of placental invasion, and on the other hand, you have lack of malignancy. So we believe that the answer to this question as to why cows don't die of cancer, skin cancer in particular, is lying in the fact that they have different placental architecture in humans versus cows. So focusing on this area would provide us answers to the question that you just asked.
Wow, that is fascinating to learn. So you're a computational biologist in an evolutionary biology lab. How does evolution play a role in understanding cancer invasiveness and what's going on in humans versus cows?
From an evolutionary standpoint, our mammalian ancestor had a deeply invasive placenta. So at the present state of mammalian evolution, using experimental biology techniques, we are able to find out which genes are on and which genes are off in different mammalian placentas. As a computational biologist, we use these multi-species on and off signals as input for certain mathematical models. So these models effectively extrapolate and go back in history to find out what would have been the state of these genes in the human and cow common ancestor, to understand how these genes worked and shaped the way the placenta is organized. So effectively, we find out which gene signals could have changed over the course of time that led to cows being more robust towards metastasizing invading tumors.
Really cool. So essentially, this is how scientists time travel. I get it now. Once you have identified a group of genes by sifting through lots and lots of data, and these genes are the ones that might contribute to cancer invasiveness, what do you do next? How do you actually figure out whether these genes play a role in this process?
In order to determine whether a particular gene is playing a critical role in cancer invasiveness, we see what would happen when that gene is off. So effectively, we construct an artificial tumor microenvironment such that cells lacking this gene of interest would be growing next to an invading tumor in kind of a cellular lawn, so to say. So when you have these two distinct cellular species growing one beside the other, the tumor would invade itself into the surrounding cells. When this is happening, we make certain microscopic measurements to see how the tumor has penetrated itself. Depending on these measurements, we are able to make estimates about how a gene could contribute in either facilitating or impeding tumor invasion.
Neat. So you also work with experimentalists then?
Yes, that's correct.
And I learned that you recently became a mom. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So I wanted to ask you, given the research that you're working on, did that in any way make you think about pregnancy differently than you may have had you not been working on this research?
It was a truly meta experience for me. I was working and understanding a biological phenomenon that was actually happening inside of me. And overall, it made me feel truly humbled that I was experiencing something that is the result of a million years of evolution.
Yeah, that's certainly one way to look at it. Thanks so much for sharing your story.
Thanks, Dora. Nice to talk to you.